afraid of them because they're coming around with guns and bam, 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 bam. No, I don't care. Stand up against it. If you die for something that is right. You see, you didn't die for something that's wrong. You see, so if you die for something that's right. And I want to say this, as far as the ones that's murdering people and killing people, you've been to a funeral. There's not one of us that have not been to a funeral. You go to a funeral of your grandmother and you take and put on your best tie and you put on your suit and you go to a funeral of your grandmother and you standing up there. It's the first time that you ever been a church. You ever feel like a church, you come to your grandmother's wake or grave, or going seeing her in a grave, or at a church with a casket laying up there. And you got these wet tears that's coming from your eyes. The same tears that Christ cried over Lazarus is in your eyes, over your grandmother's death, or the one that you truly love, your girlfriend's death. And you're standing there looking at that. Now, if you respect that, if you respect their weight and being in a casket and going in the ground, if you respect that, and the reason you respect that is because you had on a suit and a tie and you were looking nice, or you just had on jeans or whatever, but you were there to say goodbye, and you did it in a church way. You had no madness coming in a way. You had no kind of thoughts of wrongness when you were there over that one that you loved. Now, how many people of your family is under the ground? Under one ground. This God have one graveyard. Man have 10 different graveyards on top of the dirt, and he fenced his graveyard. You know, this is the graveyard for that one, and this is the graveyard for this one, and this is the graveyard for that one. But God only have one. And that cover is the blanket that you stand on. Wherever you walk, you're stepping on the graveyards of those that's underneath, the bodies that's underneath the ground. You're stepping on that. And the word wants you to respect the grave. So how can you respect the grave? By not shooting life and placing life down where your grandmothers had to go, waiting on you. They are waiting on you. Just as they waited on you in life, they are waiting on you in death. And here you are going around shooting people or killing people or murdering people because of the simple fact that the paper that you want, the trash that fulfill your pocket. Now, you don't call yourself trash, and you don't want nobody to call you trash, but you got trash over your life, and that's sick. Anytime you don't love life, you love trash. You disrespect your grandmother's grave because she loved life. Why she loved life? She loved life because she remembered you. She loved you. She didn't love the paper that she gave you. She loved you. That's why she gave it to you. And so I'm just saying, for the ones that's got that crookedness on their mind, and it doesn't matter what you don't have and what you think you can have. But what matters is if you're treating somebody nice, if you treat your grandmother nice, if you don't want nobody to hurt her, why would you hurt somebody else?
Amen, John.
You know, and I'm going to say this, and I'm going to let this camera go. Now, as far as my concern, I'm concerned about people setting me up. You know, ever since, you know, that home thing, and I told them, I said, the doctors and stuff came up in my room and all that sort of stuff, and I kept telling them that I'm not mental and I don't need to be here. And although I lived in that place for a little while, I said I don't need to be here. See, because I'm in the wrong place. And they wanted to examine me and all that sort of stuff. I said, no, I don't need it. If I need a doctor, I go straight to a doctor. But I don't need a doctor. You know, if I'm talking crazy to you, then I'm talking crazy to you, but I don't need a doctor. So you know, I want this stuff to stop. I hate to put this guy's name out because he's still my brother. And I love him. I love all enemies as well as I love those who are not my enemies. And one of them is a brother that's a highest brother, his name. And I hate to do this, but I have to. Because if we don't start standing up, just like I said, if you know somebody that's doing wrong, you need to stand up. So I'm being the first to stand up and tell you one. And his name is Supreme Court Judge John Roberts. I still love this brother, and I never met him, but God have given me certain things to know the things that they have taken from me. A lot of you out there know that I was the first one that made a certain art. A lot of you know that. And because God showed it to you by me preaching on the corner with it. At the Jack in the Box over here in PB. When the first Jack in the Box was there over in PB, I put out the stuff all up and down the block. And a lot of you came past, those that was in riding in ambulance, those that was in police cars, those was brothers and sisters of all colors and all races, came by and they saw this old man out there preaching with this stuff. I tell you what the stuff was for. God gave it to me to support me in his ministry that I do. But some ones that came to me and act like they were about me and fooled me in their little plan was interested in the stuff. These are the crooks that I tell you about. These are the ones that we need to be doctors and pills to, And so they came by. Now, as far as the judge that's involved, I think that these two guys got him involved, you see, because I'm pretty sure he's seen it and he probably wanted to buy it or something like that or whatever. But it's still stolen art. And
it's in the judge's house?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure?
I'm not sure.
You just heard that maybe he had some of your art?
Well, I heard that way through paper.
Okay.
By what he said out of his mouth.
That newspaper.
On the newspaper when he said the burning bush. Nobody knew about that, but one of the guys that was with me, that was with me, that I was in his place, and I lived in his place for about a couple of months or something like that, and the only reason he got me there is to find a way to get to the art. And so when I'm there talking around him and stuff, and he came in one evening, and he asked me, "What is that?" And said, "I was building something." And he said, "What is that?" "Oh, wow, that's nice," And I told him it was the burning bush. Nobody knew about that but him and I. And he went running and took that to them. And they had it in the newspaper the next week. The very next week. The burning bush. And the only reason I knew about it is because I came here to sit right here in PB by Vaughn's. And I usually put my art up here at Vaughn's they used to have one of those benches here, and they had the benches here, and I would put my art there. And the Vaughns the people here in the shopping center would allow it because I think they truly loved it. I used to have a lot of people come up to me right here at Vaughn's. They would come down here and see me and sit down and talk with me about some of their problems. I've had some officers come and talk to me about their problems. I won't tell you who, and I'll never tell that. But